possible. We have some board members in here as well, so feel free to chime in if you have answers to any questions. But if you have questions, now is a great time. We'd love to offer you answers.
So Gonave is an island off your island. How big is Gonave? Like how many people? Like,
It's 10 miles by 35 miles.
okay.
People, 200,000-ish.
Yes, ish.
So they don't do like what we do censuses very often. They don't do a census like we did, but like back in 2010, it was like 200,000 people, but I think it's just done this. So, but you're looking at about 200,000 people. Very rural, but then you'll have like groups of, so you'll go 20 minutes and you won't see anything, and then you'll have like, villages and that's where it is. Richard's my new friend. I met him tonight, and I remembered his name. Richard, go.
Thank you, Melissa. How big is, what's the name of the town?
Palmiste.
Palmiste. How big is that town? And do you guys have a lot of help or anything from the local folks?
So his first question was, how big is the town? And do we get any local help from folks?
No local help.
Not a lot of local help.
Yeah, so, yeah.
We were hoping there would be more community help, but didn't quite work out that way, unfortunately. But I think that's part of why we're connecting, so that we can kind of get them in that mindset of being missional as well, right?
Amen.
Yeah. Do you know how big it is? It's got to be a couple thousand people in Palmiste now, right?
Yes.
Palmiste has actually been up and coming. I remember in like 2000. I know it's like the place to be.
Yeah.
Come to Palmiste. Listen, as soon as those gangs are done, you're all coming. But no, so I say that because Palmiste is one of 5 major. It's not major. It's not like metropolitan area or anything like that, but it's one of 5 villages on Gonave that has like a major market. So it's a very traditional market. So people come, they sell their food, they sell clothing, whatever, their livestock. They come to buy all that stuff, and then they go back home. So there's like 5 major markets, and they each have their own day. And so every Tuesday is the market in Palmiste. And so we get vendors from Ansagale, we get people from Debalin, from Bouzier, La Palmiste, like from all over. They ride their donkeys and motos and for hours to come because they're trying to make money and trying to get supplies, right?
Yeah, to buy food too.
So on Tuesday, there's a lot of people. But more and more people have been actually coming into Palmiste over the years. Because I remember years ago, like 5 o'clock at night, the market would be empty. And now you got people out all night long, right?
Yes.
Yeah, so it's pretty cool. Yeah. Anybody else? And you can always email us too. Anytime you want to email us, we want to answer your questions,
Are you taking younger kids in? Are you taking?
Not right now.
Okay.
Nope. So one of the challenges that we faced over the years was a lot of the kids actually turned out to be not true orphans. And working with the government, working with local government, working with families that we found out, we sadly had people lie to us in the beginning and said their mother was dead, and then we found out a year later that person was their mother, and so it's very challenging because Haiti is, as a government, is trying to actually close all orphanages, so they make it very difficult to you have to let parents do whatever they want, but yet we're responsible to take care of everybody, and so it's a really big challenge. And so listen, anybody that God sends in our path and says, I want you to help this person, we're going to do it, and we're going to obey what he says. But in that process, we are being a little bit more diligent to say, true orphan versus not true orphan. Okay, how can we help the family and keep that family unit like I talked about earlier? Can we help your family unit instead of just taking in your child, How can we help you to be successful? Can we help you with finding a job or learning a trade, or, can we help you with school, things like that? So right now, we're not taking any more kids, partially too, financially. We don't want to keep bringing in kids when we can't properly. We want to make sure we're properly caring for them and that they have their needs met. And so, yeah. I hope that answers your question. I'm long-winded, just to let you know in case you haven't figured it out yet.
Was the security and safety conditions, if you were to raise the money, what would be the plan? How would you get back safely?
So for online, with the security situation, if we did raise the money, how would we get back safely? That's you, husband.
You know, right now, you know, as a Asian, the thing is really difficult down there, and like I think the U.S. government is asking for those Americans who are in Haiti right now to come up because the thing is,
Actually leave.
leave Haiti because it's like so hard. But only one way. So, for example, if we flew here to Port-au-Prince, when we get to Port-au-Prince, we have a small airport that we can fly straight from that small airport to Gonave. Because of what happened, like what the U.S. government are saying, so you know, I don't want like if we just go and then something happens, so I think those guys are gonna say, okay, but I told you not to travel, and I don't really feel safe like right now, like to take Melissa and the girls to go to Haiti right now. It's not
This
safe.
has been our conversation, huh, Pastor Greg? We are, so I will submit under the Lord, and I will submit under my husband in this. But this has been an ongoing conversation, and I just wanted to touch base because I trust Lender as the leader of our home and one of the leaders of this ministry to know that, like, if God says just hold off for a minute, like we're gonna hold off, but if he says go, we're gonna go. And so we're just kind of in that limbo to see how he's leading us in the midst of the security. So, does that sound about right? Yeah.
So, just a,
Oh, yeah, go
can I
ahead.
ask a second question?
Yeah.
To support via check, do we make that out to Shiloh and
Yes.
note your ministry?
I'm gonna have Haiti mission.
Yeah, so the check, so just for you all to know, and anybody online, Gonave Haiti Missions is a registered organization in the state of New Hampshire, but we're waiting on our final 501c3 to be approved. So we're still under the umbrella of Shiloh Community Church. So any checks can be made payable to Shiloh Community Church, but make sure you write LGHM or Gonave Haiti Missions in the memo so they know that it goes for that. If you want it like, something different than general fund, then I would just enclose a little note or something so that they can make sure that we put it to the location that you'd like to give towards. There was somebody in the back.
I guess my question is, so if you obviously don't feel safe going back, which I understand, do you have things over there that are already, like people over there that are already working, that the money can go to the children and the place can still be run without you two at this point?
Yes, so we have our staff of 9, and we have Even Son specifically is our supervisor. He's also the local pastor, and so Lender is in constant conversation with him, and others were in pretty consistent conversation as the internet and everything allows them to connect with us. But thankfully, it's been pretty regular that we've been in touch with them, and so everything gets sent via money transfer. And they pick it up, and then they disperse it based on how the budget is, and then they give us all the information back in our reports, and then we keep all of our reports, with Gary as our treasurer, and that guy saves me because I'm sure I don't do everything as well as he'd like me to, but he's amazing. And so, yeah, so we've been thankful, but they're still running the show. So we would have liked to have had a little bit more time just to work through some of the kinks, but right now we're just working through kinks as we're far away. But we're thankful that we have our staff. We have 2 house mothers, 2 house fathers, we have 2 cooks, and then we have our supervisor and our tutor. And everybody except for Even Son and Meekin Son, who is our tutor and our supervisor, everybody else rotates on a 3-day work basis. So 3 days on, 3 days off. So, yeah. Any other questions before we, Yes?
So I saw that you could, help sponsor a child. What is the total amount needed for each child, each month?
So that's a good question. So we, it keeps changing, and that's why we didn't necessarily come out with a number, because the costs keep fluctuating. And I didn't want to say, well, it's 150, well, now it's 200. Well, you know, realistically, if we were to take what our ideal budget is and just divide it by the number of kids we have, it comes out to about $450 a month. But that would cover everything. But any amount that somebody wants to give, because not everybody can give $450. If everybody can give $450 a month, great. But not everybody can do that. And so we welcome any amount, and that's why we have multiple pictures out there for each kid and young adult and staff member. Because again, it's that family unit, right? We're all in a big family under God's kingdom, and we're all together working as a family to support this ministry. And so any amount works, and we welcome it. Yeah.
So is it better to just give to the general fund and then you guys can use it wherever you need?
We are trying to increase our general fund. It still goes to the kids. The nice thing about the sponsorship that some people like is they can have a connection with the kids, because we try to, sometimes the kids will write letters to people back home or send pictures or just kind of update as to what, and some people here like that. I've had people tell me before, I'm horrible at that, so don't worry about doing that, so put it wherever you need it to go. But we want to offer that opportunity because sometimes people feel more connected that way. But again, general fund it all essentially goes in together. I'm not going to tell a kid, like, you don't have anybody sponsoring you, so you're not going to eat today. They're all going to be fed. They're all going to be clothed. You know what I mean? So we're not going to deny one child because somebody's name isn't next to their, but that just really offers that opportunity for people to be even more connected. We like to call it like Marin Parin, which is like godmother, godfather, because in Haiti, that's you guys know, like, a godparent in Haiti is like a place of honor, working alongside of the family, and so we like to do that. Yeah. So thank you.
When students graduate from high school, what opportunities do they then have? Does it make a difference that they can then perhaps?
Do you want to answer that?
Yeah, there's a difference. Like, if you don't know how to read and write, so that you don't have any chance, you see what I mean? But if you know how to read and write, so it's a better way that you can go through life easier than someone who didn't know how to read. Yeah.
And I would say too, just to add to that there are people, like, if somebody runs a business, like, the more education you have, the better your business is gonna be managed. Or if you're doing like a trade and you work with a masonry, if you don't have some of those skills, like, they're still gonna look at you and say, oh, you have a high school education, like, that's probably better than somebody who maybe doesn't have one. There are gonna be, because there are kids that, hopefully not under our care, but there are kids in the community who may never, because they might have underlying disabilities, and we don't have, Haiti doesn't have the kind of services like we would have here. But I do think that finishing that not only helps the self-esteem of the person, because they can say that they accomplished something that the country might, under normal circumstances would be very difficult for them to accomplish. And so we want to just help them get to that place and then take it to the next level. Learn those vocations, learn those skills to be able to live life. Yeah. Any other questions? I think we're gonna maybe pray. And Greg, did you wanna, I'm calling you out a little bit.